everyone. Welcome back to Ivy Professional School's YouTube channel. Today we are again going to talk about Excel VBA, and today's topic is working with conditional statements. Now, why do we need a conditional statement for our programming? A lot of time when you're working with the data, depending on whether the value is meeting the criteria or the condition, we want to do a different treatment to the value, apply a different function or the formula, or return a different value to it. So in case of Excel VBA, how do we do it? Let's look into it. Last time we covered input box, message box, writing inside a sub. So I will be using those elements once again in this programming. Let's get started. So I'm just writing a small program in order to evaluate whether the marks is greater than 70 or not. Very simple example. So I'm going to use a simple if statement. And let's understand the basic structure of if. So whenever we are writing if, whether it's Excel or when you're doing in a program or any other tool, for instance, always the first thing that we are going to focus is on the logical test. We have a logical test, then that test typically would return you a value of true or a value of false. If it is true, what do we want to do? If it is false, then what do we want to do? So the basic structure over here is also very similar. We have the keyword if, followed by the logical test. And like I said, this logical test is expected to give us true and false as an output. Then the keyword then. Inside, we are going to write the line or the execution line. In case the output is true, else execution line in if it returns false. And it is going to end with the keyword end if. So we begin with if, work with the logical test. Then depending on what is the output of the logical test, if it's true, it will execute this set of line. If it is false, it will go to the else part and execute the set of lines. And if it is false, it will skip the true and come to the else directly. Now, there may be cases when you're working with the data that I don't have an else part. So it's not necessary that we need an else all the time. Without else also, a simple if would work very well. Let's take that example where we are saying if the marks is greater than 70, then we are going to declare the person has passed. So if you remember the last videos, we had discussed that if I want to get an input from a user, we use input box. And in order to store the value of the input box, I would need a variable. So let's start with declaring a variable. Always a good idea to give a variable a sensible name that helps you to remind what you're storing in it. So I'm using marks as an integer, marks equal to input box. Enter the marks. It's a text value, so it's going to be in double quotes. Once I've got the marks, now I would like to evaluate whether it's meeting my condition or not. So over here, I'll put an if condition, check marks, the variable which is storing my value. If it is greater than 70, then I want to give an output of pass. So again, previous session, previous video, we saw that in order to display an output to the user, we use message box. So I'm going to use it over here. And all it requires is a prompt. In this prompt, we want to write the word pass. Else, we want to say fail. So again, a message box. And end. Right? Simple structure, very useful, whether it's Excel or programming. All of us need to know how to do a conditional check. Stay tuned for the next episode in which we will be working on multiple conditions, which is the structure that we will be used. And we have two choices over there, nested if and select case. So in the next video that you will be watching, we will be covering the multiple conditions using nested if. Stay tuned for more videos. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.